So in this video, I want to talk about hot business trends and give you some food for thought for career exploration and where you're going to go. And hopefully this is going to be a weird video that's counterintuitive. You're not going to really kind of get what I'm saying until you sort of stick with it all the way through and you sort of think about what I'm saying. And hopefully I'm going to give you some ideas that are something that you've never really thought about before. And by the way, if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Masak. I'm an associate professor of innovation and strategy, and I've taught all sorts of folks from undergrad to PhDs to managers, all sorts of different folks. All right, so, and they've done all sorts of really crazy and wonderful things that I get to see now. So what are we actually talking about with business trends? Hot business trends. These are the things that are sort of going on today that lots of people actually want. And I think what you are sort of striving for is to become successful. You want to be somebody today or tomorrow that you currently are not. And I think that that's actually a good thing. I think that that is a wonderful human trait, and I don't want you to sort of lose that in any sort of way. That's not what I'm saying. But what I want you to look at today, where you are, is look at where you are. I want you to actually look, and I guarantee you're probably not in a spot where you want to be. That's usually what you're sort of striving for is, hey, how can I make a bunch of money? I don't like who I am, or I can change my situation. And that's amazing. I think who you are is truly amazing person. And at the same time, the person that you are today is truly amazing. But I want you to really recognize that where you are is probably limited. You've got all sorts of problems, right? There's many people from around this world that are watching this, and you have all sorts of different problems. Excuse me. And you have, it's Tim Hortons coffee. For those of you who don't know, I'm Canadian and I live in Florida. Okay, so that's what I want you to look at. What are the problems that I have? How do I actually feel about these particular things? And I want you to look at those specific things around you. And those little things, they're not going to be all that important. They're not going to seem really all interesting, but those are the things that you should be pursuing. So I can give you a bunch of hot business trends. So right now, if you look at any particular domain, right? So right now, artificial intelligence is all in the rage. Before was kind of like the sharing economy stuff. There is things that are going on in consumer products in terms of wanting more organic, more stories. All those kind of things are really, really wonderful sort of trends, but they're trends and they die out and they don't have a long lasting thing that goes on. What generally happens with people that do successful things that, love who they are, which I think is a really important part of all of this stuff, that feel comfortable, that have done well, right? Like I think you can look at people that have done well financially and all that kind of stuff, is that they come to terms with who they are inside. They come to terms with saying, I've got these kind of small limitations. And I don't even like that term. These are these traits that currently the market is not valuing. What can I do to make that better? What can I do that not make it better, but lean into it and sort of see that this is the thing, right? So on one side, you could look at all the things that you sort of find pleasure from, right, as a hot business trend, right? Like coffee, right? Like, come on. This is a wonderful thing to enjoy. And I think all the time, hell, why isn't there a Tim Hortons in Florida, right? Like, come on, guys. So if that's the case, come to Tallahassee, by the way. If that's the case, that is a hot business trend. It's doing really well in the north, right? Like Tim Hortons is a big thing. So there's all these kind of moments where I want you to look around and sort of see, what do you actually get pleasure from? What do you like? And then on the other side, what is it that you don't like? What are those particular things? And I want you to lean into those things and get sort of a good sense of what's going on and how you feel about things. And then, here's the thing. And I know nobody wants to hear this. I want you to just go after it. Just decide I'm going to do it. And here's the thing that's going to be really hard. People are going to laugh at you. People are going to say all sorts of things, and it's really stupid. They're not going to like what you're doing. All sorts of stupid things. So like that's just what human nature does, right? Like that's just being a human being. And I just want you to pursue it. That's it. Just pursue that thing that makes you who you are. And that's going to be a hot business trend. And as you're doing it, I want you to get used to talking about who you are, talking about what you're actually trying to do, all of those things. And those things are really, really difficult to actually do. And it's interesting now that I think about myself and think about other people that I sort of bump into, that I am becoming more comfortable with me talking about who I am. And I think that feels very refreshing to a lot of people. And I think it's refreshing to, I think that's what people want, right? It's that human connection, that thing that people are like, all right, this is okay. And I want you to sort of think about that. What can you do that makes you you? And you can lean into that particular thing, and that is going to make you feel good, right? So here's the caveat. There's one thing that I'm gonna suggest that lots of people are gonna hate me for, but a lot of us don't know what we want because we haven't sort of seen the world that much. And the only way that we can see the world in a substituted way, right? I can't travel around the world. There's many places I'm never ever gonna go to because I just don't have the time. I don't have the bandwidth to do those things. I would love to go to all these places around the world and discover all these things, go back in time, all that kind of stuff, but I can't. So what I need to do is get a substitute, and that substitute is just education. Going and getting a couple of courses, and I'm not being highfalutin and saying that you got to get a university course, like that's baloney, right? But just like explore some stuff, pick up a couple of courses, online courses, pay attention to where they're from, because sometimes people are telling you weird stuff that may not necessarily be true. But I think you just go exploring, go find some stuff. And then when you do that, you're gonna sort of see the world differently and sort of see yourself differently and feel okay with that. So as you're doing this, is that you're pursuing this particular thing. And I know that you're thinking that this is crazy and who does this person think he is, right? So I'm gonna look around. I'm gonna show you this. I just want you to sort of see what's going on. All right. So right there, ta-da! That's my stand. Okay, and this is me. I've got an iPhone. Millions of people have seen me now, and people from some really interesting folks are starting to reach out at this moment. And do I know what I'm talking about? Do I know who I am? I don't think so. I'm kind of a nervous, kind of wreck, introverted kind of person, but I realized that there was a problem. And I just started pursuing those things. And yes, it's not financially viable at this moment, but that's changing. I think that there are some opportunities that are up and rising. And I just started doing it. It was just me just starting doing this, whatever that thing is. And I want you to sort of do the same thing. I want you to sort of see that I can do this, and I just start pursuing these things. And then you don't necessarily see, and every time that there's some sort of hot business trend, you just kind of drop that in there and you start talking about this thing. Well, I'm using AI and, I'm using, I don't know, whatever the next big thing. It was very authentic and all this kind of stuff. You start talking about just BSing and dropping this stuff in there, right? But it's the truth at the same time, because that's what people are actually talking about. So, for career exploration, just pursue who you are. Love yourself, pursue that, and just kind of wander around, find the thing that is interesting to you at this moment and pursue that thing. And sometimes you might find some really cool, interesting things. And I think we get so caught up in trying to find something, we forget that, hey, this is where I am right now, right? Like, I'm not going to tell you to go, go to Wall Street, although you can do it if you want to. I'm not going to tell you to go to Wall Street if you are not willing to go to Wall Street and sort of have that belief that I'm going to go to Wall Street. But if you are thinking like, I got to live in my little town, and I want to be close to my family and all that kind of stuff, and then you look at what you're doing right now and you start making stuff up. You start making that thing. You develop it. You sort of pursue that thing, whatever that particular thing is, and pretty soon something amazing will happen. It just takes a little bit of time, but you just pursue it. And you might need to substitute with part-time jobs and those kind of things, or get an education and all those kind of things, but you make it happen. You turn it into something that didn't exist before. And frankly, you just got to get going with it. Every person that I've ever seen that have done well in their life, it's always the same story. They just did that, right? And it doesn't matter on the particular career that they're in and what they're doing, from babysitting to, I don't know, being running a multinational corporation. The story's always the same. They just started doing it. And they just started going, right? They were like, I'm going to be a CEO of a multinational corporation. Yay. And then they just start doing it, right? And you start off with little dinky things. You realize it's hard. The whole thing is hard, but you do it, right? Or I'm going to be I'm going to create my own daycare in my house. Yay. So you just do it. You create your own little daycare in your house. You realize that, it's really not as tricky as you think it is. The tricky part is getting back up and doing it again. Or the tricky part is dealing with the day-to-day. And you could see, I'm pretty honest about that on this channel. It's not always great every day, but you get back up and you do it again. You get back up and you do it again every day. All right, take care. Hopefully this helps out, by the way. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.